This video has been specifically requested, and I'm going over ancient Sumerian basics right from the start. So the Sumerians were the first to invent a writing system, and they did this for the same reason many things get invented, out of necessity. As humanity transitioned and developed from hunter-gatherers and tribes to full-on city-states, the population of cities inevitably grew. And with this came economic and administrative needs. The need to track grain storage, livestock, land ownership, and labor grew. Temples, especially, were major economic centers. So, inevitably, they needed to find a way to manage workers, property, and surplus. The necessity to record their laws, contracts, marriages, and inheritance grew. They found they needed to track grain storage, livestock, land ownership, and labor, and record taxes and trade. And so, with this, the advent of the cuneiform writing system was born. At first, in around 3500 BCE, came simple pictographic clay tokens along with the number system. At this stage, just recording commodity and numbers. A base 60 number system that we still use today in geometry and astronomy and in units like seconds and minutes. At this stage, the system is considered Proto-Sumerian or Proto-Cuneiform. But then, at approximately 3200 BC, scribes began to include the names of people, cities, and deities. We begin to see actions, grammar, verbs, and syntax. And the overall look of the signs became more abstract rather than pictographic. And at this stage, it is considered a true writing system, albeit archaic. We call this archaic cuneiform or archaic Sumerian. And then, as the Sumerian culture progressed, at around 2600 BC, the system becomes much more mature. It's a much more intricate and complex system at this stage, where anything that you wish to convey is possible. The system does evolve and mature a little bit more. At around 2300 BC, it's at its peak. This is Classical Sumerian. Classical Sumerian exists from around 2300 to 2000 BC. And by 2000 BC, around 1500 signs have been recorded. Most are polyvalent, and many homophones also exist, with a very complex but coherent system once it's learned. And for the record, it took 7 to 10 years to become a qualified scribe in ancient Sumer. Not that surprising it takes that long, considering we're looking at 1500 signs over the entire historical period being recorded, 700 of which are used frequently. That's a lot to remember, especially on top of all the grammatical rules and systems too. Sumerian died out as a spoken language at around 2000 BC, but it was continued to be used by surrounding cultures for at least another 1,000 years. And the reason I've explained all of this is to give you a good idea of why polyvalency exists. What is polyvalency? In linguistics, polyvalency refers to the ability of a sign, word, or symbol to have multiple meanings or functions. I find giving English examples is a good way to learn. So polyvalency exists in English, and some examples are fast. He's a fast runner. They will fast for Ramadan. Or the door is stuck fast. Another example is light. Turn on the light. Or this bag is very light. And so Sumerian is also polyvalent, but to a much higher degree, to be honest. And the reason for this is because we are looking back at the entire corpus of Sumerian. We're looking back at 3,000 years of use of the language, and words change over time. Another reason for polyvalency in ancient Sumer is that the word was much less connected back then. So one word in Eridu might mean something else in Uruk. And also, polyvalency exists because Sumerian is a writing system first to convey their spoken language. And some of their words are homophonic, and homophones can lead to polyvalency. Homophones are when two words sound the same but have different meanings. Examples in English are to, or there, and there. So for these reasons, polyvalency is prevalent in Sumerian. Some examples include sa, mu, to, and kiri 6, to write, to grow, and orchard. Or this sign, ka, mouth, inim, word, or gu 3, to speak. And to be honest, just know that most signs in Sumerian is polyvalent. It's actually easier to count how many signs aren't polyvalent. That's how prevalent it is. Okay, so that will do for the introduction to Sumerian. In the next video, I'll dive straight into the grammatical system for you, the very basics. And I'll just end this video with some useful signs that I feel are frequently used the most, and some helpful websites that will be useful in your learning process.